Okay, Tiffany, can you give us your full name, where you were born, and what you did as a youngster?
Yes, my name is Tiffany Miller, and my maiden name is Dykeman. When I went into the service, that was what my name was. I was born in South Rockwood, Michigan, and what I did as a youngster is play football and run track with my brother. So.
Okay, just the one brother, or do you have
Nope,
brothers
I
and
have
sisters?
3 brothers, 2 half brothers and 1 real brother, and I'm the oldest. So.
Okay, that's good. In the city in Michigan you're from, is Lower Peninsula, Upper Peninsula?
It is the Lower Peninsula. It's about a half an hour away from Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Is from where
Yeah,
it was at.
there we go. That makes sense. Good. So you talked a little bit about you played football when you were younger, played with your brother and stuff like that. What other types of games did you guys play?
We played kick the can.
Yeah, I know a lot of people say they play kick the can. How do you play kick the can?
So usually you play kick the can at dusk time, and it's actually like an old coffee can, and everybody kind of hides, and you have one person that's looking for you, and so he has to tag each person, and before the last person gets tagged, they can kick the can so that it has to start all over and we can run away from him again.
Sounds like it was a good time.
Oh yeah.
Good. At what age did you start thinking about getting into the service?
I actually was thinking about it at age 17. I came from a divorced parent home, and my parents tend to argue and kind of felt like you were in the middle. So the only easiest way to get out of it was to talk to the recruiter, and every day I'd go to lunch and the recruiters would be there and I'd talk to the recruiters, and on the day before I turned 18, the recruiter came down the street and picked me up and took me down there, and I signed on my 18th birthday. My dad didn't know, my mom didn't know. However, my dad found out when my brother told him, and on my way back home I got kicked out of the house, but that happens.
Yeah. So you signed up with the Navy, correct?
No, I
No?
was U.S. Army.
You were Army, okay. Had you thought about any of the other
I
services?
did. I was trying to go Air Force. However, you have to have perfect vision, and at that time I didn't have perfect vision, so they wouldn't. I wanted to fly a plane, and they told me, sorry, you can't fly a plane. You don't have 20/20 vision. So.
What was basic training like for you?
Basic training. Well, when I got there, I was out pushing all the guys, so that kind of really made them mad. So most people coming in there were not conditioned the way that we need to be. So the military works with you. They give you a physical fitness test, which you do sit-ups, push-ups, and run 2 miles. And going into that, all my playing and with my brother and stuff, that seemed to help me. So it wasn't too bad. They get in your mind to get your mind right, because you're going to be out there with a lot of brothers and sisters, and you have to look for each other's back.
Where did you do your basic training at?
I did my basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Okay, so you were actually quite a ways from home.
Yes.
First time away from home like that?
No, I've been to Florida and visited family and stuff, but I guess on the way of 10 weeks away, yes. Then yes, it was a different.
Okay. Do you remember any of your instructors?
I do, however, I just can't recall their names. I have pictures of them somewhere in my home, because I took a lot of pictures when I was in basic training. But yeah, I can just remember one. He just really he knew I had the mindset to lead. However, me doing exactly what he wanted, I wouldn't do, so he didn't like that very much.
What years were you in the service?
I went in 1996 till 2004.
So you were there for 8 years. So you were in for one hitch and then re-up for another?
Yes.
Okay. Was that a hard decision?
No. The you know what you're doing every day in and day out. So, you know, you wake up in the morning, you go to PT, you do that, then you go to your job. It's kind of like a 9 to 5 job. And I mean, you still get your weekends where you may have to be the weekend warrior, is what we call them. But yeah, it's the repetition that you know what you're doing every day in and day out.
What was the highest rank that you reached?
I was a specialist, E4.
And that is a sergeant? Is that?
No, a specialist.
A specialist, okay. What's the difference there? Because I know I've got people that say that.
It's an E4 and an E5. E5 makes a sergeant. You get 3 stripes. As an E4, we call them mosquito wings with a pregnant belly. So, but you work your way up from private first class, and then to your specialist. I'm sorry, I had to think about it for a minute because there's 2 privates.
Yeah.
So one without wings and then one with wings. So.
Okay. And from other people that we've talked to, they said that the jump from E4 to E5 is actually one of the hardest to do.
Yes, and you have to study a lot. I didn't really have the desire or the want at that time to jump into that position. They were already putting me into managing lower soldiers as an E4, so I just let somebody else deal with that that stuff.
Yeah. Was it hard for you to move up in the ranks?
No, not really. As long as you do what you're supposed to and you show up every day and you're not trying to go AWOL, they usually are really good with you.
What was life like day to day while you were in the Army?
Day to day, you have your family. It's a close-knit family, and usually if it's not one, you have 5 or 6 and you're all going to breakfast, or you're, you know, even on your time off, you're always together. So it was a family away from family.
Okay. Any practical jokers that you had to deal with, or were you a practical joker?
No practical joker. Although I did do a couple silly things, I can say. We were digging foxhole one time, and my dang Kevlar helmet kept choking me, so I stuck it up there on top of where our foxhole was. Well, so happened to be a general that came along, and well, I got in trouble.
So do you have a lot of good memories from the Army?
Yeah, I have quite a few. I mean, my first tour of duty that I went, you get a wish list and you get to choose 3 places after AIT where you'd like to go, and I chose Germany and ended up there and spent 4 years there, and it was a beautiful place. And the food was great, and just getting that diversity, it kind of makes you a well-rounded person.
What city in Germany were you close to there?
I was in Dexheim, Germany, which is close to Frankfurt, because usually if I say Dexheim, people are like, where's that? So Frankfurt, if I say Frankfurt or Wiesbaden, those were the close areas to where I was at.
When you were there, did you still see remnants of World War II around, or is everything pretty much rebuilt?
Over where I was at, I didn't really see that. Ours was just a little tiny detachment of another larger company out of Baumholder. So where I was at, there wasn't really any remnants.
Did you ever get a feeling of like, I'm actually in Germany, which we were at war with?
No, not really, not really, because I mean, at the time I was just focusing on having my military career and making sure that I was there doing what I needed to do.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about your very last day in the service and how you felt.
My last day of service was different because I probably would have stayed. However, we were getting ready to activate, and my ETS date was coming close, and I had 2 children already in the service, and they were trying to send their father and I both over seas, and I didn't want to go, so I wanted to make sure that I was staying home, and I let my company know, and I ETS'd out, and I didn't really worry about it too much after that because I knew that I had 2 younger children and their father was still in, so I just wanted to make sure that they had a mom or a dad, whoever,
Sure.
so that they didn't have to grow up without both parents.
In civilian life, what did you do? What were you able to take from the service to help you?
So definitely drive. I've changed jobs quite a few times, but in the military I did heating and cooling. So I thought, oh yeah, on the outside I should be able to get into a job. Well, heating and cooling is male dominant job and is very hard to get into. When I did end up getting into one, I ended up pregnant and having a hard time with the pregnancy, so I had to get out of that and went into working as a CNA, certified nurse assistant,
Right.
and then have worked my way from there to an LPN, and I've been there. So
Takes a lot of education to do that. Did being in the service helping you keeping your nose to the grindstone help you do that?
Yes, and I think that that helps a lot even to the day. I mean, if there's somebody that wanted to grow in that way, I would say the military is probably the best way to get you to have a great mindset and go forward.
Do you belong to any service organizations?
As of right now, the only thing that I have is a group out of Michigan, which is a group of softball friends that we play ball with, and it's Vet Sports, and they travel all over to play all kinds of sports. And other than that, no. Here in North Dakota, I am working on getting some help. I had a son who passed away, and I've been reaching out to them so that I can have some counseling and stuff, because my son passed away from a suicide, so it kind of makes it a little tough.
Right, and we want to ask people to pray for you. Continued. We're doing this during the holiday season, and that can be one of the toughest times, and definitely ask people to pray for you continuously.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. Before we wrap things up, I do want to talk a little bit about softball, because I know softball is really, really important to you and your life. How did you get involved in it, and tell us some things about it?
So softball, my dad was working all the time, so he always tried to find things to for me and my brother to do, and softball was one of them. So I started probably at the age of 7, I believe, and at that time it was mixed minors is what they called it, and they had boys and girls doing softball. I've been together with softball a little over 30 some years now. I play out here in North Dakota for the Mulligans, and that happened to be 2 years now, and I just love it. I can play any position, and it kind of gives you a release.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're having a bad day, you can just beat up that poor little yellow ball.
Now, you played fast pitch when you were younger, correct?
Yes.
How's the adjustment going from fast pitch to slow pitch?
Oh, it took a minute. So you have to get your timing down because the balls come fast in fast pitch, and slow pitch is definitely different. So I had to teach myself to count 1001, 1002, and then swing, because my swing was super fast and I'd strike outs. But fast hands and fast works good for softball. So.
I know you pitched softball. I've umpired
Yeah.
quite a few of your games. Did you pitch fast pitch as well?
No, I didn't. I played catcher and I played outfield.
Strong arm.
Yeah. And yeah, I was pretty fast because all the track and stuff, and I just like to run and do those things. And when it comes to sports, boy, I'm very competitive. I can't help it.
Great. Tiffany, first of all, I want to thank you for your service, and I want to thank you for doing the interview.
Thank you.